Welcome to podcast 43. Yes, 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 maybe, but yes.
Hello. Welcome back to Podcast 43, I should say. My name is Fulton Collins, and I'm joined here with my co-star.
The one and only Chris Borg. That is me. But today, well, first of all, how are you doing, Fulton?
I'm doing okay. It's been a busy but calm week for me. So how about you?
Yeah, it's been about pretty much the same here. I've but I've still had time to watch a lot of things, including a lot of Oliver Stone movies. So, uh, but
I'm
any
excited I've watched some doozies this week. Not I didn't get in as many as I wanted to, but I got some things I'm excited to talk about.
Well,
Mhm.
I'm excited to hear them. So I guess without further ado, we'll start with talking about first Velvet Goldmine and also Carol.
Mhm.
But first, we should talk about Todd Haynes and just kind of him as a director and as a person. I think first, but.
Mhm.
What was your first impression of Todd Haynes, would you say, Fulton?
My first impression, and I believe me and you kind of talked about this when we brought up the idea of doing a Todd Haynes episode or just focusing in on his movies. I first got introduced to him through Vice's Guide to Film, which was like a little thing that they would do where they would showcase directors. And normally they would play their produced episode and then play like a famous movie by one of these directors. So I got really into that, and he was one of the directors that they did an episode on, and that was like my first introduction to him. But the first movie I watched by him was I'm Not There, which is his biography about Bob Dylan, which is one of my favorite movies because I it's very creative, and it does, I think, do a good job at capturing all the different essences of Bob Dylan. So that's kind of where my, I guess, my first impression of that film is where I sit with him. I think he's someone that is a very interesting director. I do really like watching his work. He seems to be able to jump around a lot, and it still feels cohesive to me, especially in I'm Not There, where that story is, think, pretty difficult to tell. Because how do you capture a man like Bob Dylan in a 2-hour film, if I remember? So I don't remember the exact run time of it, but yeah,
with so many people playing Bob Dylan.
yeah, and that's another thing I really do love about that film, and we might be able to talk about it later because Christian Bale is also in that one, and he plays the Christian era Bob Dylan, which is really interesting. But what's your first impression or thoughts on Todd Haynes?
Well, I didn't know a whole lot about Todd Haynes until about senior year of high school when we had to when in you and my film class we had to watch Safe, and I really enjoyed it at the time. And then I watched Carol, I think shortly after, and now and then yesterday I watched Poison and Velvet Goldmine today. But I do want to kind of start with Poison because because it was his first film and it was kind of a formative film in the new queer cinema movement. It came out in 1991, and before that, he had made a lot. He had made some short films, in one of which was Superstar, the Karen Carpenter story, which was a film about the life of singer Karen Carpenter, told mostly with all Barbie dolls, and it was actually Karen Carpenter's brother sued, and it was like he had to get rid of. He couldn't sell and had to destroy the copies of the film because it used licensed music, and then they were also mad about how they portrayed Karen Carpenter in the film. But nonetheless, Poison is kind of interesting. It's like a triptych about like gay identity, with kind of three and with three distinct styles kind of covering that. There's one that's kind of a documentary style, and there's one that almost feels well, it's kind of based off of Jean Genet novels, and but it also kind of feels like Rainer Werner Fassbender's film Querelle, and it's kind of more overt with kind of its with its gay themes. And then the third one is more of like kind of a B horror kind of schlock thing. And I can say that it's a very strong debut, and I would highly recommend people to check this film out. And it's part of the Criterion Channel's collection called, I think, uh, queer sighted, I think is what it's called. But there's a lot of other good movies on there, and an excellent discussion about them. And I think that Haynes kind of is very important in that realm. And that kind of idea of like queer identity kind of carries over to the two films that we're talking about as well. And yeah, I think that check out Poison, and also Safe. And then I guess that leads us to his third film, Velvet Goldmine.
I just want to throw something in there really quick. The idea that you brought up about Safe, with there being three separate kind of styles going on.
Poison,
Poison.
you mean, not
shoot,
Safe.
I'm sorry. That idea about three separate kind of styles going on, he would further elaborate on that again, and I'm not there, because every era of Bob Dylan has its own kind of style. I highly recommend that one too as well. But just to throw that out there. But what were your first impressions on Velvet Goldmine?
It's very, I mean, very glamorous, which would make sense because it's a film about glam rock. And in case people don't know, it's actually based off of a well, it's a fictionalized story of of a singer named Brian Slade, played by Jonathan Rhys Meyers, who's kind of a the first thing that came to mind was a David Bowie-esque character. And sure enough, if you look up after that, David Bowie actually threatened to sue because it was very, very similar in earlier scripts to his life. So they had to kind of change things around a little bit. And the first thing, though, that I noticed after that was the way that they kind of structure the film, and how it's like he's a singer, and then he fakes his assassination on stage, and it kind of leads to his downfall and this huge backlash, even though that he's on top of the world. And it's like 10 years later, Christian Bale plays this reporter who is kind of finding out what happened to him. And I noticed that it's that Haynes mirrors the way that Citizen Kane is structured in the film with this story of Brian Slade. And I think it's kind of interesting because it's like you have the kind of the downfall or the climax at the end of the film, and you kind of find out about the person through other people, like his ex-wife and his agent. And even that shot of the agent is so similar to Citizen Kane in the hospital.
It also starts with the death too, as well, because in Citizen Kane, you have the death of Orson, and then you have the fake death of Brian Slade in the very beginning of Velvet Goldmine. Something I kind of wanted to note really quick. I do like how I do really like Christian Bale's character, because I do find it interesting that he's so closely related to a lot of these events as like a kind of like a bystander, until later on in the film when he becomes directly involved with Ewan McGregor's character. And I do like that he kind of he moved to America, kind of put that life behind him, and is having to like rediscover all of that. I found that to be a really interesting way to kind of portray his character and make his character move through, I guess, the motions of rediscovering his sexuality. Did you read it as that?
I would say, yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
would say because like especially well I mean that's an important part of Todd Haynes as a
Mm-hmm.
director is kind of this whole transgression, kind of repressed sexuality type thing going on, and it makes sense, especially with a lot of people historically that have had queer identities. That would be the case, and Poison is kind of shows that, and then this also with kind of also making it the Oscar Wilde connection is also kind of important at the beginning, where
Mm-hmm.
it's like kind of establishes Oscar Wilde as the first pop star, as they
Mm-hmm.
say, and how Oscar Wilde was also famously gay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, the so yeah, the Citizen Kane structure was what struck out to me, and then also just kind of I thought that the musical sequences were really good. There's a disclaimer at the beginning where it tells you to play the film loud, and I do implore everyone to do that for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
I agree. I agree.
Um, however, However, I did find myself while I enjoyed the film, I found myself not liking it as much as Poison, or not as I think, or not as much as his other films, because
Mm-hmm.
it still kind of falls into a lot of the trappings of these types of like rock biopics, where it's like, oh, the drugs, and it's like done in such a kind of in such a way that like I don't really think does much with those themes that are just peppered throughout all these movies.
Mm-hmm.
um and I think that that's probably my main criticism.
So I honestly didn't really I really didn't mind that. If I'm like, I don't know, I very much enjoyed it. I thought it was very interesting to watch, and I thought the cinematography was absolutely amazing.
Oh
And I
yeah.
liked all the transitions and ways that the film would kind of move from one scene to another, because it all seems quite you know um I don't want to say like magical, but there's like a whimsy to it all. Um,
And I
but
think
yeah.
I think I prefer um I think I like the Todd Haynes movies where like
Mm,
they're a little bit less, they're a little bit more grounded, I think.
mm-hmm,
Well, Poison I wouldn't say is grounded, but I think it has something else going on that I think is a little bit more interesting to me.
mm-hmm,
But like especially Carol and like Safe are two films that are very much grounded, but kind of also have all these underlying themes of identity that I think are very interesting and are kind of explored uh in a less just in your face type way that this does.
mm-hmm. See, I don't know. I feel a little, I don't know, because I don't know if I want to say I'm not there as grounded or not, because there are parts of it that are very grounded, then there are parts of it that are very kind of giving into the feelings of what era that Bob Dylan is. So I'm trying to see if you would like it or not. But
Oh, I
I think you,
probably still would like it. I mean, it's a Bob
yeah.
Dylan movie. So
Well, it's a huge thing is it is really about identity. So if you're into that part of Todd Haynes, then you'll very
mm.
much be into that and into that one. But um I don't know. I think I might prefer this to most other like rock biopics. I just found it more intriguing than like I can't. I'm thinking of Rocket Man, I
Oh
don't
well.
think it's very fair to compare those two. But
Well, I mean, of course, I mean, of course, this is miles better than Rocket Man.
yeah, I'm just trying to think like and I see where you're coming from with it falling into the same kind of formula. But to me, I was hoping that because at the beginning of the film, you're kind of led to believe, um, well, it kind of starts out with Christian Bale, and then it seems to focus on Brian Slade a lot. And it feels more like his film, and then it kind of pushes away and then becomes more a film about Christian Bale's character, and I'm forgetting his name. But so yeah, I don't know. I just felt that while I didn't think the scenes with Brian Slade were super, like, I like all the music video parts.
Yeah, those are
um
great. Yeah.
yeah, those are great, but then kind of if you were to remove that from this film, I still think he gives a good performance. I just don't know if his like parts are super intriguing. Like, I thought that the Christian Bale kind of plot with him figuring out himself in Britain, um and being, rejected by society, and I think there's a scene where he might even be rejected by the people that he's trying to join. There's a scene where he's covered up in a coat and he walks downstairs to his parents and just says he's going out. Then the second he gets out the door, he throws this coat off and has this shirt with a bunch of the pins of I guess that symbolize that he's a part of that kind of revolution. Then he sees a group of people wearing the
Mhm.
pins and they kind of laugh at him and kind of scoff him off. And
Yeah.
but I found that interesting. And also want to highlight, I mean, I'm not really surprised because I do love Ewan McGregor, and I'm normally really like his roles. And so I very much enjoyed seeing him in this one as well.
He played and how he plays this, like, I don't
Kurt
know, kind
Wilde.
of Kurt Wilde, which he kind of looks like. Well, I think that he kind of is supposed to look like Kurt Cobain, and
That's
then
what
also,
yeah.
and then the Wild is of course the reference to Oscar Wilde, I
Hmm.
would assume. But yeah, he's pretty funny at playing like this like guy from Michigan, like.
Yeah. It's not a like it just wasn't a role I thought I'd necessarily see him in. So really him and Christian Bale kind of led the film for me. And I'm not trying to criticize the Brian Slade stuff. I just didn't find it. I still liked it. I just didn't think it was as strong as Christian Bale and Ewan McGregor.
I mean,
So
I think he's kind of. I mean, he's definitely like supposed to be this mysterious figure, but
mhm.
I don't really think that I was all too intrigued about like what happened. That I mean, I don't
Mhm.
know if I don't know if the film really sold me too much on like why I should care so much about this person other than that, oh wow, he was big.
Yeah.
But like I
It doesn't really crescendo in the way that I think it was supposed to. Because there's just spoilers alert, I guess. Are you ready to are you cool with us spoiling? I don't,
yeah, we can.
yeah. So Christian Bale is a reporter tasked to figure out what has happened to Brian Slade. Sorry, my I can't seem to get my voice right. Um, Tasked to figure out what has happened to Brian Slade post his assassination hoax, which Christian Bale was at when it first originally happened. And so in doing so, he interviews his wife, his old manager, and everything. And then it finally is revealed that because no one can seem to find him, but there's this new big rock star called Tommy Stone. And I guess I'm assuming that is modern day. I get well, modern day in terms of the grown up Brian Slade. But I was is that how you read it? I figured it was because he has the Shannon lady with him as
Yeah, that
well.
that was what it was supposed to be, the reveal at the
Yeah,
end.
I thought there was just going to be more to it because so Christian Bale kind of goes. Tommy Stone is leaving the venue. And there's like reporters and everything outside, and they're asking him questions after his show. And Christian Bale goes, "Hey, what do you think about the connection between you and Brian Slade?" And Tommy Stone and Shannon, which was a lady that was brought on to his crew during the Brian Slade years, um, they just get really mad in the dressing room, and that's it. And
Hmm.
I was like, oh, okay. But I
Yeah.
get, it. I don't know. It was weird.
it was strange, like how they kind of reveal it at the end, how they
Hmm.
reveal where Brian Slade is and stuff. But yeah, I don't think it's like yeah, like I don't think it's like
It also
as
doesn't.
this
Mhm.
well, yeah, I just don't really think it really comes I don't think it's really kind of as a big surprise or a big reveal as they kind of as Guys Haynes kind of intends it to be. So
Yeah, but I do want to highlight one strength of that kind of revelation. There's a scene where Tommy is looking back in the mirror, and he sees his like modern day self as with the makeup of Brian Slade on. I kind of like that little shot. I thought that was cool.
yeah, well,
Um,
I'll be talking all about mirrors and Carol especially.
mhm,
What so yeah, I agree that that was a good scene. And then I also like the part where there's a part where they're playing with dolls as kids, and I was like, well, that's clearly a reference to the Karen Carpenter story.
mhm,
Which I thought was cool. And also the fact that Kurt Vile's not Kurt Vile, Kurt Wild, sorry.
mhm,
His band is called Venus and Furs, and that's a reference to, of course, the Velvet Underground song. Uh, and Todd Haynes is a really big Velvet Underground fan and is, I think, has a documentary on them coming out at Con this
mhm.
year. So that will be exciting.
I thought
But
the Andy Warhol scene was kind of funny. It very short, but I just like that he was in that club where Kurt Wild was. But
yeah.
what there was something else I wanted to talk about, but I'm blanking on what it was.
What about well, I mean, like I think we could probably talk about like yeah, like kind of the portrayal of like I don't know, I guess like androgyny in this
Mm,
film and how like especially in like the glam rock era, it's like everybody's so just so much makeup and stuff. And it's like
mhm,
kind of a scene where people are kind of everybody is kind of accepted with like all types of identities and how I don't know. I mean, like I guess you kind of touched upon it with Christian Bale's
mhm,
character as well, but I did find that probably my like the most interesting part of this film was
mhm.
that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it was interesting.
And the whole part about how um there's
Oh,
like
I
that part.
remember. Yeah, okay. Continue. Sorry.
Oh, there's a part at the beginning where they're like, people are saying that people are saying that bisexuality is a trend.
Are you talking about there's
The-
a that
There's like
line
the
from Ewan
news part at the
McGregor?
beginning,
Oh, okay, okay. I see. I
and they
see.
interview Kurt Wilde and Ewan McGregor, and like I don't know, it's just um there's like and then like there are like the people that like bully them and call them like what Christian Bale's character gets called a pansy rocker.
Mhm,
Um, but yeah, just a lot of things that kind of fall in line with like what Todd Haynes' main film thesis is in this film. So
yeah.
people won't be disappointed to find that. But what was it that you wanted to talk about?
So, in kind of like the third act of the film, it is revealed that there's this show that Jerry no K- Jack Ferry puts on to be kind of like the last concert to glam rock. Oh boy, sorry.
Oh yeah, that's a
Um,
great part when they play
yeah,
20th Century Boy.
yeah.
Yeah,
And Christian Bale meets up with Kurt Wild and they have a night together. And I'm assuming they have a
they have sex. Yeah, I think that's the
oh yeah. I'm curious to know how long their like affair or relationship kind of lasted. Because there's clips throughout the film that are sprinkled in with them two with them two. And I was just interested to know how long that kind of lasted because we get to a point where I think his name was Arthur. That's it. That was Christian Bale's name in the film. Arthur interviews or is calling Kurt Wilde, trying to interview him, Kurt Wilde doesn't want to do it, and he ends up finding Kurt Wilde in a bar. And so it kind of, this is juxtaposed against like 10 years earlier when they met and they had sex together. I just thought it was I guess odd that Kurt Wilde, I think there's a kind of a sense that they know each other, but they never really like, they're like, oh hey, how are you, how are you doing? I know we've, you know.
Yeah, that's definitely the implication
Mhm,
in the film, and I did also find it a bit strange that
mhm.
it's so matter of fact.
Yeah. I like the ending of their conversation when they kind of exchange like glances of them. I don't know. It's when like Ewan McGregor is walking away, he definitely, I have this sense that he does know who that is. But like when he first sees him, you think that there would be a shot of Ewan McGregor's face kind of like shifting into like a, like a, hey, don't I know you type of thing. But he just seems completely unfazed
And he's like,
by
here's
Arthur's presence.
yeah, he's like, oh hey, what are you doing here?
Like, I don't
Here's
want to
this
talk about
Oscar
that.
Wilde pin.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
which I thought that was a nice little moment of
Definitely
of Arthur kind of accepting,
accepting who he was. Yeah.
yeah, and kind of pushing forward. I think that there's a scene where he kind of like, because Kurt offers Arthur it, and Arthur says no, and or Kurt puts it in Arthur's drink, and he goes to take a drink, and he ends up like coughing it up. And I do like the little kind of grin that comes over his face. It almost seems kind of like relief for him, which would make sense, you know. So yeah.
Um, yeah, so I guess that's really all I have to say about Velvet Goldmine, but I would say like I do recommend this. I would
Mhm,
say of the Todd Haynes films I've seen, it's probably my least favorite, but
mhm.
that's not like a
What
slight at
about
it.
TMNT? Don't you really like that one? His
Wait. What?
his Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film.
Oh yeah, isn't he?
Mhm, mhm.
He's slated to. He
To
signed.
he's to end the trilogy of the Michael Bay. Yeah, to a Jeff Nichols esque ending of a franchise.
But
But
yeah,
sorry.
so anything else you want to say on it, Fulton?
Um, no, no, not really on this one. I highly recommend it if you're looking for biopics. I don't know. I would say check out this one, and I'm Not There, like rock biopics, I should say. Um, these ones are the,
Biopics
yeah.
about fake people. Bob
If you're a
Dylan isn't
David Bowie
real.
fan,
Yeah.
yeah, check this one out. Bob Dylan fan, please check that one out. You'll get something out of it. Um, but what were you gonna say out of all the Todd Haynes films?
Oh, out of
Sorry.
all, well, I was just saying, yeah, this one's still good, but yeah, like I think my main criticism is just that it still kind of falls into like a lot of the same cliches that I don't like about uh rock biopics, and
Mhm.
it's it's still good,
Oh,
like
Tony
solid.
Collette's also good in it too, as well.
Yeah, Tony
Forgot to
Collette
mention
does a good
her. Yeah.
job. Um, and what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, it's like still like a solid, I think a solid 3 out of 5 from me.
Mhm.
But it could be a lot worse. It could be like Sid and Nancy, a movie that I loathe because of how cliche it is.
Uh, I really don't mind that one, but oh boy, do I understand where you're coming from. Sid, come on, Sid,
Sid, we gotta get money
please.
for drugs.
They're gonna kick us out. Alex Ross? Is that the
It's Alex Cox.
Alex Cox?
Why are you laughing, Fulton? What are you laughing about?
So on to
Um,
Carol.
all right, on to Carol. So this is Todd Haynes' uh film from 2015.
Mhm.
I think it's his he second most recent film after Dark Waters, which me and Fulton both have not seen, but this was my second time watching Carol, and I've been meaning to rewatch it, and I liked it when it came out, and it was even better on the rewatch. I think it's a really good movie. But first, let me ask Fulton, what did you think about Carol?
Um, I think I should preface that I'm not the biggest Rooney Mara fan. I don't think that she's a bad actor or sorry, actress, I should say. She's just never been someone I can really really buy into. And this probably all stems from what was that
Ghost
movie?
Story.
Yeah, I wasn't too crazy about her in Ghost Story, but there was another movie. Oh, Song to Song. Yeah. Have you seen Song to Song?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah,
Okay,
I
yeah.
didn't. I wasn't crazy about that movie, but it was. I mean, I was like what 17 when I watched it. So
Yeah, I don't I am kind of tempted to go back and kind of watch it, but I really wasn't too crazy about her in that. But I do find her to be pretty good in this one. I mean, I I found her to I've got more into her performance in this one than I did in those ones. And well, I'm trying to remember how if I what I thought about her in A Ghost Story. I
well,
just remember the
me
12th
and you.
minute.
I remember me and you went and saw Ghost Story together when it came out,
Yeah.
and we were both. I don't. I mean, I very much don't like that movie. I'm not a fan of of a Ghost Story, and I think that Rooney Mara is not very good in that movie. But
Yeah. Well, I remember being kind of mixed on it, but there's that 12-minute, the infamous pie scene where she just eats pie for what seems like forever. But to get back on track, um, this one I found to be pretty it's intimate. It's all about the little gestures to me. It's not like this overwhelming, really dramatic love story. It has its dramatic moments, but I just mean dramatic in terms of like it just feels like kind of a quiet film to me, which isn't a bad thing. It's just the way I kind of view it in my head. um Kate Blanchett is very good in this film. She kind of stole the show for me. But I also really liked her and I'm Not There as the 60s era Bob Dylan, which is probably my my favorite kind of parts of that film as well. I'm gonna keep plugging it because people really need to see it. But yeah, no, I just thought it's it's about the gestures, the touches on the hands, or touches on the hands, the touches on the shoulders, and the little whispers, and being near somebody. That's kind of like what this film is to me. Um, I
yeah,
I've found I do like, well, I'll ask what before we get into like major plot details, what was your kind of how did your second viewing pair to your first viewing? I think would be
well,
an interesting way to.
I think that what I noticed more than anything this time around was just how every single frame looks so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everything looks like it's so like meticulously like planned out, and
Mm-hmm.
and I love those scenes where Rooney Mara is in the car, and like you just see like the slight like fog from the window, and it's like the outside, or like any scene with a mirror. And I'll go deeper into like why I think that the mirrors are so important in this film. But yeah, I don't really. I mean, I'm kind of mixed on Rooney Mara. I think it really depends on the movie, but I think that I find her performance in this to be really, really good, because
Mm-hmm.
she does such a good job of playing kind of like the shy, coy kind of person, not really comfortable with themselves. And then it's like she kind of like breaks out of her shell, uh, as her and Carol's relationship kind of develops throughout the film. and then it's like she's able to take these bigger steps and stuff. But I think that what I call Rooney Mara face, which is kind of the face that she makes, where she just kind of like looks off into the distance in films. I found it very effective in this.
Mhm.
Rooney Mara is made for this movie. That's my argument. Kate Blanchett, she's good in this. She's a very good actress. Gonna plug Blue Jasmine, one of Alan's finest late period films. Strongly recommend that one. And yeah, I mean, the other performances, you got Kyle Chandler, kind of showing up every now and then. He's just kind of comes and goes. He's fine.
He doesn't take away from the film, but I wouldn't say he. And I do like him as an actor, but maybe he's just such a shitty guy in the film. Maybe
My one criticism though is Carol's daughter,
Mhm.
and Carol and
Rindy.
Harj, which is Kyle Chandler's character's name, their daughter
Mhm.
Rindy. Like, I mean, child actors, like, it's tough to be a good child actor.
Yeah.
And this girl said some of her dialogue, I was like, are you kidding me? When she's like, Mommy, why don't you come with us to grandma and grandpa's? And I was like, this is a little too uh this is a little too bad. This is not good dialogue, and like a child saying it kind of makes it worse. But like, that's really my
Yeah.
only criticism I can level at this movie. I think this movie is fantastic though.
Mm-hmm. My only thing about that is I totally see where you're coming from. And
I guess a kid
it
would
is,
say that.
yeah.
Uh,
But I think Kate, I may have mispronounced her name.
Kate Blanchett.
Kate Blanchett. Okay, so I did mispronounce her name. I thought she did good with bouncing off of the kid to make it seem more
Yeah.
grounded. But yeah, I always go back I always go back and forth in my head about how much should we critique child actors and actresses, because I don't know, it's very, but yeah, I don't know. I think they could have worked out something during the scene that maybe would have worked a little bit more than it seeming so like, because just to add on to what you're saying, it was also like, I don't know. It's interesting, if I could say the least. But yeah, I think this could be a pretty, well, it's not the happiest film, but I think it is kind of heartwarming in some of its moments. I always do love watching Christmas movies, which I would consider this one to be
Yeah,
a good
this is a good
Christmas
Christmas
movie.
movie. Yeah.
The Silver Bell scene is also very good. Because when Carol and Therese, they start hanging out, and then Carol invites Therese to go on a trip with her to kind of get away from all the frustrations of Carol's present life. And it's also a sort of escape for Therese as well, because she's also trying to escape her frustrations, because Therese works at a job where she's not really treated with a lot of respect. And she also has a boyfriend that is trying to move their relationship forward, although Therese has a lot of hesitation to do so. And he doesn't, it their relationship is complicated, but essentially Therese ends up going on this trip with
Carol.
with Carol. I don't know why I'm blanking. And they have like a little montage of them kind of traveling with snow falling down, and then traveling on highways and stuff, set to Silver Bells. And I thought that was a really, really nice scene. but that only adds to what you were talking about earlier about all the, even the car scenes look really, really nice. Um, you can tell they did it on location, and I have a very big, like, that's always a gripe with me when I see, certain car scenes. You can kind of let it slide because it's a stylistic thing, and maybe it's trying to riff on like how they used to be shot with like a backdrop moving and they're in like a car in a studio. I can understand those type things, but like in a modern, when I see modern car scenes, you can really tell if they're fake or not. And I don't know why so many people fake them, because they just look so much better if you just put it on the back of a truck and film
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like, it drives me insane. So I'm so happy that they decided to shoot this all on what seems like location. And if they did shoot it in a studio, that would totally like blow my mind because it looks amazing.
Yeah, I doubt it was shot in a studio.
Yeah, I doubt it, but on the off chance that I could be wrong about that,
I
I'd be
guess
very
we
nice.
also should probably talk about Sarah Paulson's character, which I think is I think she's an interesting part of the film.
Mhm.
What's her name? Aunt Ruby, I think is her name.
Yeah, I cannot remember her name for
It's
some reason.
I want to say Ruby. Uh,
I
Aunt
think.
Aunt Abby. Aunt Abby.
Oh.
And so like she's kind of a she's like a good friend of she's a good friend of Carol's, and like she's also kind of like the person that kind of like made her understand kind of her sexuality
Mhm.
earlier in life, and like but they're still like friends and stuff. And so I think that's kind of an interesting part of the film, and how like how like her husband like is so like kind of scornful towards her
Mhm.
friendship with her because of that. And like um I thought that Sarah Paulson did a pretty good job.
Mhm.
I've only really seen her in American Horror Story, so it's nice to see her in something else.
Yeah, I've only seen her in that and all the trailers for Hatchet or whatever that.
Antlers. Ooh, that looks fun. I'm
I do want
excited
to
for
see
that.
that one. Yeah.
Uh,
Um, yeah, she has a small. I think she's kind of crucial to the story, but I feel like her role is kind of small. But it is nice seeing like her. It is nice to see her friendship with Carol, and how it used to be very intimate, but now it seems like they're just really close friends that look after each other because they're childhood friends. And I do like that. At a point in time on the trip, Carol has to leave because essentially it ends up going about, or going down the route of and I can't really say the route because I don't think I've seen it in too many other movies, but there's this lawsuit, or no, sorry, there's a divorce going on between what's the Harge and Carol. And Harge wants full custody over Rendy due to Carol's. They talk about a morality clause, so they're trying to use Carol's sexuality against her because this is set in the, is it the 40s or 50s?
the
The
50s.
50s. It's set in the 50s, so this is during a time when that you know um, lesbians or gay people weren't, those type of identities weren't widely accepted. And so they're trying, and Harge is specifically trying to use that against Carol. And so while Carol and Therese are out on their trip, they meet this salesman, and then it ends up turning that he is a special investigator, or private investigator, I should say. He has recorded them having sex, and he sends that tape to Harge so they can use that in the court case. So Carol has to leave and cut
So
things
yeah, so
off.
she can so she won't get custody of any custody of her child.
Hmm.
And so yeah, like uh I guess what I wanted to talk about was the mirrors and how those are kind of used in this film, and how it's kind of like there's that scene, the scene where like Carol and Therese first like kiss, and it's like
Hmm.
them looking at the mirror, and it's like almost like they're like looking into like their true like identities and what and they're kind of like, and their identities are looking back at them, and it's kind of the reflection of that. And I
Mhm.
think it's a pretty good use of that. And then mirrors also show up later in the film near the end with just Therese kind of looking into the mirror when her and Carol's relationship uh awry because of everything that happened with the whole court case and
Mhm.
everything like that. But yet again, another example of Haynes' excellent look at his exploration of of human identity.
Mhm.
And yeah, and then another thing that I think makes this movie even more emotionally powerful is how the film opens in media res in the middle of the discussion between Carol and Therese. That's also at the end of the movie. And
Mhm.
so you just see them at first, and then when you get the full context of the conversation at the end, I think it really has that such it's much more like emotional, much more gut wrenching, and it's very very sad to
Mhm.
see kind of these two people that love each other clearly very uh, pushed apart because of the circumstances at hand, and like how Carol has to, like how she can't, um, she kind of had to cut off contact with her so she wouldn't lose custody of her kid. And like
Mhm.
the phone conversations that she when she calls her, or
Mhm.
wait, no, who calls who? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Therese does end up calling Carol.
And then
And
she
then
says,
she says like hello, hello.
and then she
Or
says, but the way that she like
yeah.
whispers "I miss you," I think is really really good. And then
Mhm.
like just kind of how it cuts to Kate Blanchett's or Carol's hand, like as she's like shaking, like hesitating to like hit the hang up button on the phone.
Mhm.
I don't know, just all great little cues, all great, very, I don't know, just, like you said, it's the little gestures. But
Mhm. Um just to round off my thought from earlier, um there is a part where Carol has to leave the trip, and Abby, was that her name? The Sarah Paulson has to finish up the trip with Therese and basically get her back to New York. I do kind of like their little interaction and their like handful of scenes that they have together where they're both kind of um they've I wouldn't say it's similar yet very different. They've both loved Carol in different ways. So I thought that was kind of an interesting pairing to have them to kind of um
go back on the road trip together. Yeah.
yeah. But that really was where I was going with that one. So
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to.
no, you're all
uh
good, man. You're all
okay.
good.
I love the guys at the beginning, like well, I forget her friends, and there's that one part where they're like, "Women, you said it, pal."
Yeah.
it's just like it's just like really funny dialogue.
um well, I forgot about the one dude that works for the New York Times, the
Yeah,
writer. I
yeah,
forget what
that guy was
he
in Woody Allen's Crisis in Six Scenes,
mm,
his Amazon miniseries. Um,
I was always confused what was going on between them.
he
'Cause he,
clearly had something for Carol,
yeah, but I never felt
or no, I
like
mean for Therese, not Carol.
yeah, I and my thing about that is I would have thought that she would have wanted to have nothing to do with him because he kind of, led her to basically he invites her to come because Therese is a photographer, so he invites her to come to the New York Times, like his little office, and he hits on, or well, he kisses her. He ends up kissing her, and she has a boyfriend at this time. Um, And it almost, I think one way to look at it is, he led her there under false pretense. He led her here to so they would talk about this, but he ends up just wanting to get with her. But they end up
Yeah.
having, they end up, they still have scenes together in the later half of the film where it almost seems like they're friends. But he's like, the thing that I did at the office, I want you to forget about that. Okay. Like it never happened or anything. It's like, oh, well, I mean, dude, you shouldn't have done it in the first place. I mean, it was kind
Yeah.
of fucked up. Um, but I don't know. I thought that kind of their relationship was odd, and I'm still trying to understand it. Why she would still want to associate with him and
I
have him
did
to
find
help
it
her.
confusing that she was like, "Hey, can you help paint my house?"
Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't.
like, yeah.
I mean, maybe he was the last dude on Earth that
Maybe it was.
could
Maybe it
do it. Because I
was.
mean, at that time, she's broken up with the boyfriend and everything. I just thought
Um,
there would have been somebody else.
I wanted to write down. There's actually a line that that Carol says to Therese, I think it explains why I think Rooney Mara is so good in this movie. When they get lunch,
When
when
Carol
Carol
tells
and
her to do the Dougie, and Rooney Mara does the
when
Dougie.
when they start playing the Dougie at the
Yeah.
restaurant that they go to in 50s New York,
Yeah. You
uh,
were saying, sorry.
um no, she says like, "What a strange girl you are," and then Rooney Mara's character goes, "Why?" And then she just goes, "Flung out of space." And I think like, yeah, like that's the Rooney Mara, that's the Rooney Mara way. She always looks like she's
Mhm.
flung out of space. uh and it works excellently in Carol. uh so yeah, I guess all I can say is that I was happy. Not that I was surprised by anything because I've already seen the movie, but
Mhm.
you'll be happy to know that the film doesn't have it feels like it's going to go in the direction of having like a French ending where it's just kind of like everybody dies or something, but it doesn't. And I think I appreciate it, but it doesn't go too much into that. It's not like and then they got married and then they lived happily. It's more just kind of like they don't hate each other at the end. And you know what, sometimes that's all you need. You just need the little bit of hope, and
Mhm.
then you let your mind do the rest. So
Yeah, I agree. It has a nice ending. Um, yeah, and I guess I would say that I do recommend this one as well.
yeah.
As an in cap for me.
Yeah, so we just want to say yeah, watch more Todd Haynes movies, or watch a Todd Haynes movie if you haven't seen any.
Mhm.
But both of these are good picks, but Carol's the better one. And yeah, you guys, I hope you enjoyed us looking at the work of Todd Haynes, and I hope that we
We could
made you
maybe make a sequel in the future. He's got other movies.
the
If
Carol
y'all are
Cinematic
interested.
Universe would be sick.
Oh, I just meant we could make another Todd Haynes episode as
Oh,
well.
oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'd
um,
be yeah,
yeah.
maybe in the future we will be covering Todd Haynes again.
There's
We'll
plenty
talk.
of Todd Haynes.
Yeah, I mean there's a couple others, like I don't know. I think a good one that we could do in the future is if you want to do I'm Not There, and maybe
Hmm.
Far From Heaven.
Oh, I'd love
Uh
to. Yeah, I'd be
yeah.
down to.
All right. Well, that is all I want to say on Todd
Mhm.
Haynes. But yeah. Um
And we'll be right back after this break. Okay. And we're back. And I guess we'll hop right into the news. So in terms of trailers this week, not too many, but don't be mistaken. There's some good to go around. Ron's Gone Wrong, which is a new animated film from Sarah Smith, who previously directed Arthur Christmas. It has Zach Galifianakis and Jack Dylan Grazer. It'll be out October 22nd in theaters. I saw the trailer for this one. I'm not the demographic. I'll leave it at that. um, The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which is being directed by Michael Showalter. It is starring Andrew Garfield as Jim Baker and Jessica Chastain as Tammy Faye. It'll be out
Yeah.
September 17th. I'm pretty excited for this one.
Anyone who's a fan of Vic Berger's edits of Jim Baker will definitely be sitting in the seats on
Yeah.
opening weekend for this one. So
Well, I'm just happy to see Andrew Garfield. I don't know. He's probably one of my favorite actors upcoming recently, but I still need to see mainstream.
yeah,
And
mainstream's one that I really want to see as well.
yeah, and check out Under the Silver Lake if you have not
Yes,
already.
everybody check out that movie.
Please.
I
Yeah.
remember one of my friends, she said, when I first met you, all I knew about you was that you really liked Under the Silver Lake. So
It's not a bad thing to be known by.
I will shill for that movie for eternity.
Yeah. I wish I would have watched it sooner, but I'm glad you kept petitioning me to watch it.
Yeah.
But we've got more Andrew Garfield coming out. Tick Tick Boom, which is directed by Lin Manuel Miranda. Jesus, sorry.
What? Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah. So he's making a Netflix movie. It's written by Stephen Levinson. It has Andrew Garfield and Alexandria Shipp. It'll be out in theaters and Netflix. It doesn't currently have a release date, but they just released a teaser, and it says on the poster it'll be out this fall. So it looks like they might be trying to push it for the the Oscars kind of run with doing select theaters type stuff.
Yeah.
Or they might be pushing it like an Army of the Dead, where they do a wide theatrical release. But
Hopefully the latter.
yeah, hopefully the latter, because I would like to see it in the theaters. Although
I've
I'm
heard
not.
great things about In the Heights. I still will be watching it. I do apologize for being quite pessimistic about the film a few episodes prior, and I don't know if I'll like it, but like I don't know. It looks like it would be fun.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll go see it. When does it come out?
Well, I mean, you don't even need to go see it. It came out on Friday, but I mean, it's on HBO. You can
Yeah.
watch it whenever you want. Yeah.
But I would like to, if I can see anything in the theaters, I'll probably go and see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's not fair of me to write it off either. It just didn't really look like my type of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I like musicals, but it just looked like a
Well, I mean, my issue I think is
know,
that I like more of
musical.
the old fashioned musicals of like the 40s and the 50s.
Yeah.
Kind of like those older. So yeah, I don't know. I mean the music still feels kind of very Broadway-y, but I don't
Mhm.
know. I mean, I have HBO, so it
Yeah.
won't hurt for me to check it out.
To watch it. That is a good point. In terms of news, we have Maria Schrader has cast Carrie Mulligan and Zoe Kazan in She Said, which is about
Me
the New
too,
York.
right?
Yeah, it's about the Me Too movement, but in particular, it's about the New York. Mulligan and Kazan are going to be playing the New York Times reporters who broke the story on the Harvey Weinstein scandal, and it was written by Rebecca Linkey was when that's I'm sorry. I'm just gonna spell it out. Lenkiwicz. Sorry, I definitely mispronounced her name, or their name, I should say. So yeah, so that one's coming out. If you haven't seen Promising Young Woman, I'd also kind of and as in a recent Carrie Mulligan performance, I would recommend that one as well.
I would not, but it's not getting my cosign.
That's fine. Mark Malloy has cast Anya Taylor-Joy and Ralph Fiennes in The Menu, which was previously going to be an Alexander Payne film, but is being produced by Adam McKay and written by Will Tracy and Seth Reese. Apparently it's going to be a dark comedy, so that should be kind of interesting. But Alexander Payne does have a new film in the works called The Holdovers, and he has already cast Paul Giamatti in it. It'll shoot next year, and it is about a prep school during Christmas break, and it actually does kind of sound like a heartwarming kind of movie for Christmas time. Jared Stern and Sam Levine have added Kate McKinnon, Kevin Hart, Keanu Reeves to DC Leagues of Super Pets. I think we kind of talked about it last week, but it's the new, I don't know what, the animated DC movie adaptation of the Super Pets kind of thing. Ryan Johnson has added Madeline Klein and Jessica Yulee Henwick to the cast of Knives Out 2. So that cast just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Brian Fuller is working on a remake of Christine that he will write and direct for Blumhouse. So I'm pretty interested in that.
Yes, Blumhouse remaking Christine.
But it's, it's Brian Fuller. I don't know. I really do enjoy his work. Chad Stilisky has added Bill Skarsgård to the cast of John Wick 4. Chris, have you seen Kingpin?
I have. Wait, Kingpin?
Yeah, the comedy.
Yeah, I love Kingpin. Yeah, that movie's great. It has the credits scene with Blues Traveler dressed up as Amish people playing But Anyway. Excellent final sequence in 90s cinema.
Well, I think you'll be happy to know, or maybe you'll be sad to know, that there's a sequel in the works from Village Roadshow Pictures, and nothing is really like confirmed. Excuse me, I think it's in the very early stages, but the Farley brothers are looking like they'll produce, but there's no like word on if they'll direct or not. Warner Brothers Animation is making a Lord of the Rings anime called Lord of the Rings: The War of Rohirrim. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. James Wan has also revealed the title of Aquaman 2 to be called Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. And we had a Todd Haynes episode today, but there's also new Todd Haynes news. He's making a new movie called May December, which was written by Sammy Birch. It's looking to start shooting next year. And Julianne Moore and Natalie Portman are looking like they'll be the two leads of the film.
And it's crazy because I've just never seen Julianne Moore in a Todd Haynes movie.
I know. It's like, where did they find her? I know we've kind of talked about A Quiet Place 2 a lot on the podcast. It feels like recently, but I just thought it would be kind of interesting to kind of highlight this. It's looking like it's doing I have to look at the box office figures because I don't know for sure, but at least in the States, A Quiet Place Part 2 has already crossed 100 million, which is already beating Godzilla versus Kong, which has surprised me. Just because that is, I thought that Godzilla versus Kong was going to be the most like popular movie of the pandemic, in the pandemic era of the box office, but I guess
I both gave them the same rating. 1.5. So but cool.
Yeah. I'm glad that people are seeing movies. I guess that's the best thing that I can say about that. Gareth Davis has added Lakeith Stanfield, Ceres Ronan, Paul Mescal to Foe, which is a sci-fi film that's looking like it'll be filming in January. And out of all the sequels, I didn't think that this one would be getting a sequel. I haven't seen it, partially because I'm not too big into Gerard Butler, but Greenland has gotten a sequel called Greenland Migration. It'll have the same creative team and actors. So yeah, that's it for news. So Chris, what have you been watching in the past week?
All right. Well, I have some disappointing news. I didn't watch a Woody Allen movie last week.
All right. Looks like we're not releasing this episode. Great, Chris.
Way to go. I'm sorry.
Well, since you've been turning your back on Mr. Allen himself, what else have you been watching?
Well, I did a rewatch of a favorite with some friends. The Tom Cruise movie Cocktail.
I very badly want to see Cocktail.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I would describe it as an anti-capitalist Circean melodrama, because I didn't notice this until the rewatch, but I don't. It's one of those movies that I can't understand why people hate so strongly. Like
A lot of people just hate Tom Cruise in general.
well, I think a lot of people just hate Tom Cruise in general, but
Mm,
like if you I don't know, it just seems like but I think it's a great movie.
mm,
Tom Cruise does like these really cool bartending drink flips, and the soundtrack is also like so beautifully cheesy. And then like they play like Kokomo by the Beach Boys
mm.
when they as soon as they go to the movie goes to like Tom Cruise moves to Jamaica and they just start playing
Nice.
Kokomo. Um, yeah, Tom Cruise is just a great bartender.
Mhm.
Uh, and I don't know, I guess I'll also talk about Savages by Oliver Stone's Savages, and how it's also beautifully schlocky. John Travolta and Benicio del Toro eat in this movie. They both
They
are
eat each other's butts.
they eat each other's butt. But they're both having such a blast in this movie. It's such a ridiculous movie. Like any movie that uses the term wargasms is pretty great in my book.
Mhm.
Yet I see a lot of people on Letterbox saying that this is a negative of the film, and for them I can say have some fun, guys. Okay.
Yeah.
Like you can't take this seriously. Like you can't take the
Mhm.
movie seriously. You're not supposed to. I know you saw it a while ago,
I
right?
saw this when I was a kid.
You saw when you were a kid.
Yeah,
Damn.
I saw the um as a kid, my parents didn't really like turn me away from too many movies. Like they didn't really want me to watch this, but like I petitioned pretty hard why I should because I was like the trailer's really cool. I thought this film just going off based off the trailer, I was like this looks like such a badass film. Like as a kid.
It
And as a
is
kid, I like and realistically I'm talking like when did that movie come out?
2012.
Okay, so I was 11. That's what I thought. I was 11 or 12. So like um I saw this movie when I was 11. I shouldn't have because it's a pretty my parents cover my eyes a lot of the time. I specifically remember in this one I was told to cover my eyes during some of the more gruesome and like some of the sex scenes. So
When they
mhm,
go when Blake Lively has like the most like it's like the dumbest like narration ever. Like she's
mhm,
just like explaining everything, and it's like, you're probably wondering how we got here, but my two boyfriends grow this really crazy weed that everybody really likes, and blah blah. Like it's just like the dumbest narration, but it
mhm,
makes it even
better.
funnier. Like when she's like one of my boyfriends is Buddhist, the other one is baddest, and and then it shows him like beating the shit out of some guys with like a baseball bat.
I'm thinking it's time to rewatch Savages.
Yeah, you do. It's on
Sounds awesome.
Netflix.
Oh, cool.
One of the few times that I've opened Netflix in the past like
What
month.
did I? Oh yeah, Inside.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
what did you watch? I want to hear about
speaking
these
of
stinkers.
speaking of weed, I watched Super High Me, which is a riff on Super Size Me, which I also watched this week. So, um, I actually well, I didn't watch Super Size Me this week. I actually watched it last week, but I forgot to log it. I clicked watch and I forgot to log it, so I forgot to talk about it last week. But um, I guess I can briefly talk about Super Size Me, and then that'll lead me into Super High Me. Um, Super Size Me, what was that? 2004, 2002, or
2000, I think 2004. Yeah.
2004? So my thing about Super Size Me, and the thing that I find so funny is that it did become kind of like a phenomenon at the time, and I wasn't old
Yeah.
enough to really like apprehend like what was going on. I've always heard about Super Size Me, and that's why I wanted to watch it. um I'm trying to think about how much I want to. I don't know about Morgan Spurlock. And I partially think that I mean, obviously, my thing about Super Size Me is if you eat fast food for every single meal, of course you're going to feel like shit.
Yeah, I
And
feel like the
like,
thesis is quite obvious. Like,
yeah, and it's one dude doing it. So I think he's using the experiment as a surrogate to kind of like talk about a broader issue in America, and that's all fine. But if you're really trying to go for like a credible route, I don't think he very much did it, because he's a person. He has a girlfriend that is a vegan chef, so it's clear that he obviously doesn't really eat this food a lot. And I love the scenes in the beginning where he's like, "Yeah, I'm healthy, like I'm super healthy," and then it'll cut to like a doctor being like, "You're actually super healthy. Like this is insane how healthy you are." And he's got there's like one point where he's wearing a shirt that says like sarcasm. I'm like, all right, I think I see. I think the profile is starting to fill out.
he's epic.
And
He was like, I just want to let you know that I also have sex with my girlfriend, but like the fast food's been affecting that. But like, dude, I totally have sex. I'm Morgan
but
Spurlock.
now she has to get on top. So like, so like but so I have a lot of grievances with the film. Like I think there's obviously like a bias there against like overweight people. And when they talk about overweight people, they shot they
Talking
take
about the
shot.
creep shots of like fat people,
Yeah, but it's
like
like
overweight. Yeah.
they only choose people that are like extremely overweight and obese.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, all right, well, I see what you're doing, but there's a spectrum to it all, like it's in, but I do want to highlight that I think watching it now, it is the documentary is super funny to me, just because of his personality and like everything that surrounds it. But like I think it is important to know that there actually has been change because of this documentary. Say what you want about the documentary, but like we actually do, like there are breakdown of like calories and like and all that shit on fast food. Like it clearly did do a good bit of like what it achieved to do. But I'm
Yeah.
super excited to watch Super Size Me 2, because it's about I just want to see more Morgan Spurlock. That's really like
Well, I think he like, well, no, I was just gonna say, I remember him like admitting to like I remember he like admitted to something
mm,
instead of getting me too, like he admitted like, oh, I
oh
did something. I
oh
just I haven't looked too much into it, but I
yeah.
just remember that.
Well, I watched this movie on YouTube, so I didn't pay for it. I'll probably try to do the same
Yeah, no,
without
I mean,
giving
I
any,
think that the other one's on Amazon,
Oh,
but
cool. But the other thing I find so funny is that since this thing was such a phenomenon, it spun off like a ton of like copycat things. So there was another one called like I added what was it called? It's
I
like
think it's called
Superhead or something, or
Fathead.
Fathead, yeah. So I want to see Fathead because there seems to be a cinematic universe taking shape of some sort. Um, but I did watch Super High Me, which basically takes the same concept as Super Size Me, but instead of food, comedian Doug Benson just smokes a ton of weed. Um, and so I wouldn't say that the film really lives up to the premise, because you would think
I
it would be very funny.
I really don't think that Doug Benson is like funny at all. Like I tried listening to his podcast years ago, and like I don't know,
Yeah.
it's just kind of like weed LMAO type humor.
Yeah. that's why I think he's like the perfect guy to do it, right? Because what but I think this film really hinges on whether or not you like Doug Benson or whether or not you find him funny, which I don't. I mean, I don't particularly gravitate towards him. He had some funny jokes, but I think for the bulk of it, I was kind of it's not a super engaging documentary, but I think it's funny what they try to do because they have Doug Benson go a month without smoking any weed, and then they do like tests on him. So they have like a psychological test. He has to see a therapist. He has to take the SAT. He takes a what's it called? What not telepathy, but like looking into the future. What's that called? Oh crap, there's a name for it. I'm forgetting the name of it. It's like the opening your third eye type thing, if you know what I'm talking
Oh, like
about.
oh, you talking about astral projecting?
What's the name of it? It was really funny. I I'm gonna get hooked up. I can't think of the name of it. But they do these tests, and then so when he spends 30 days of smoking weed nonstop, they'll do the test again. I think all that's really, I think it's not super funny, but it is really funny to see like Doug Benson talking to a doctor, and then they cut like the doctor saying like something serious, and it cuts back to his face, like completely like like looks like he's just like confused and not paying attention. Um, but the weird thing about Super High Me is that it tries to take like a political side, and it tries
What?
to educate people on the current legislation concerning weed, right? And so like they like are filming this dispensary, and then the dispensary gets they have a run-in with like the DEA, and the DEA like takes everything in the dispensary, and so they have like protesters like protesting, and they're like, bring that DEA agent out of here, and he has like a name, and then one of the officers comes up, and they're like, that they're like Officer Marshall, like he's not in there, and they're like, oh, for real? And then he's like, yeah, no, the dude's not there. And then they're like, legalize weed. And then so it's just really like there's so much time spent on the legality of weed, and it's set in California, so it's legal by the state but not by federal level. It's been so much time on that, and it's just not really, it doesn't fit well with what they're trying to do, because you have that whole political angle going, and then that's it's contrasted against Doug Benson getting really high and telling jokes and taking tests. It just doesn't really like mix well together. And then one of my favorite lines, because I find it so funny, the dude that wrote the legislation to have weed legalized in California, and I'm quoting him, I'm probably not doing a great job, but he says something along the lines of like, yeah, the legalization of weed can be compared to the Stonewall incidents.
The Stonewall riots, like as in
Yes.
for the LGBT
Yes.
community?
And I was like, I laughed so hard. I was like, he cannot be fucking like, are you? I was like, dude, these are two completely different things. The legalization of weed and the right, fighting for LGBTQ rights are so.
And I
I
mean,
was
like, I
like,
guess if
wow.
I mean the only type of oppression that I can see oppression with weed when it comes to like our criminal justice system and
Mhm.
how it disproportionately affects black people and other
Yeah.
minorities when it comes to arresting people for low level drug offenses. But the
Mhm.
idea of legalizing weed and people being able to be love who they love freely and be who they are freely, I don't really see
Yeah.
the see the connection.
See, if he had gone in it in the way that you had about it, that would be different, but he doesn't. He leaves it
No.
just at that. He just leaves it at the comparison between Stonewall and legalizing weed. Um,
Uh,
And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Well, I mean, it was a different time, 2007. So that
Yeah.
was back before any state had legal weed. It was only medical
Mm.
weed. So I'm excited to see Super High Me too, where he runs a weed dispensary where Doug Benson is a business owner now.
Are they making that?
No, I'm just
Okay, because
just
you
talking
would
out of
have
my ass.
completely fooled me, man.
I mean, yeah,
So
I would really
I wouldn't put it past him.
I'm not shilling for a rival movie podcast, but Doug Benson's movie podcast is not very good. But check it out if you want to. But it's not funny. I don't think he's funny. I think it's just like really bad weed humor.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, if you're into it, you're into it. So that's really all I can say about Super High Me. I was so
yeah.
excited. I thought that I had found a gem. I was like, this is gonna be, but man, no. It's all on YouTube for free. So it's like an hour and 20 minutes, but watch watch Super Size Me. It's more funnier than than Super High Me, surprisingly.
Well, that part in Super Size Me where they like ask the kids if they know Jesus, and then they ask them if they know Ronald McDonald, and it's like, whoa, I didn't know that.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's so
This
fucking funny.
this isn't
Like
clearly.
it's
I mean, I'm actually writing something right now about how I hate that people give so much authority to documentaries because they're like,
Mm.
"Oh, wow, this is real life." It's like, "No, shut the fuck up. No, it isn't." Like it's about as it's even more deceptive and even more fake than movies because at least people know that movies are 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 not real or are not parts of reality, but there are so many people that buy into documentaries so much, and it's like life isn't edited. Life is a linear thing,
Yeah.
and the way that people edit things can shape people's perception of how our own reality actually works. And I love documentaries, but
Mm.
I prefer to look at them as just other types of like films. Like I don't like that people like differentiate them, I guess.
Yeah. I watched one other thing, and that was Resident Evil Damnation, which is the second CGI film. I think I
Yeah.
liked Vendetta more, but there's a really
Oh
funny
no.
character named JD who's Russian. Um, but yeah, I think I can't really say too much about this one other than like what I said about the first one. Like if you like the video games, check out this one because it's just as campy as like the video games and stuff like that. So if you're into the Resident Evil video games, check this one out. It visually looks better than the other one, but that it came out, a few years after, so it makes sense. Seems like the production value was better as well. But yeah, I don't that those are the only ones I was able to get in this week, unfortunately.
Oh, that's it's a triptych of interesting films for sure.
Oh,
Uh,
like Chris, I also missed out on something, which was Fast Fridays, but I don't want people to worry because by next episode, I'm doing a double barrel Fast and Furious or Furious 7 and Fate of the Furious. So don't worry. I know people are super sad that both me and Chris missed our marks this week, but don't worry.
but yeah, I sorry. That was a little excerpt from The Heights that I saw.
Oh, you're already pulling it up.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
ready? Are you watching it tonight?
no, probably not tonight. I don't know. Tonight I think I'm in the mood to watch I don't know. I may start Todd Haynes's Mildred Pierce again,
Yeah.
or maybe Star 80, the Bob Fosse movie. But
He has like a 30-minute short that I kind of want to watch. I
what
forget the name of it.
the Karen Carpenter thing that I was telling you about?
No, it's Dottie Gets Spanked.
Oh yeah, I want to see
Looks
that
kind of
one too.
interesting. Yeah.
Um, but I guess the two other things that I want to bring up is two kind of like canonical movies that I watched because I've been trying to finish the AFI 100 list. Easy Rider, which I had gone my whole life without seeing until a few days ago.
Mhm.
First of all, and yeah, I mean, there's a reason why people
It's
like
great. Yeah.
it's great. Yeah, it's a, you know, it's an important counterculture film, you know, kind of tapping into like those the kind of transgressions of that generation, especially of that, like the whole counterculture generation. And the scene where they do acid in the cemetery is so good. Like it's
Mhm.
so fucking good. Like the editing is perfect. And then the opening, like there's a reason why it's been lampooned so much when they ride their motorcycles to Born to Be Wild and you have the credits.
Did
It's just a damn good time, and it's
did
tight.
the
It's 95 minutes.
did the ending surprise you?
Well, no, I already knew about the ending, so
Oh.
I wasn't too taken aback, but I could imagine I would be if I didn't.
I really didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
Not to spoil anything, but it does, well, it does have a surprising ending. But dude, Henry Fonda is so cool.
You mean
He's
Peter Fonda?
Peter Fonda. Fuck. I keep fucking doing. Damn it.
I would have liked if an old Henry Fonda was in this movie though, riding the
That
motorcycle.
would have been very funny. Damn.
Uh,
Yeah, he's really cool.
Also,
Dennis Hopper's cool too.
however, I do think that when it comes to like movies that I think kind of capture the generation best, I think that Medium Cool is still like my go-to when I it's like what I'd recommend to be for people to watch, especially considering that it's quite underseen
Mhm.
and it's marvelous. But both these movies are great. So um and then I watched Swing Time because I had never seen any Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers film, and yeah, what I found was a pretty was a very funny film. A lot of really funny gags, and then even better dancing. Although there is one scene that they actually have a on HBO Max. Before you watch it, they have like a little intro by a TCM historian, and she kind of talks about like one scene in the film that's kind of quite controversial now, where Fred Astaire performs an entire scene in blackface, and it's very very uncomfortable to watch.
Mm.
But the way that she recontextualizes it, I think provides very good context about how like yeah, this stuff was you know, it's crazy that stuff that's something that's so I don't know, just offensive and awful was seen as kind of accepted back then. But yeah, I mean it's a pretty good movie, but I was quite taken aback by that because like is
I was
yeah,
not
it's gross.
expecting you to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, that's all I really want to talk about. I you know, I watched some other Oliver Stone movies, Salvador, Talk Radio, both I'd recommend, but that's all. I don't want to go too in deep because we should probably end.
Yeah, I think we have been talking for a bit, but it's been good.
Yeah.
Well, that oh yeah. Chris, did you want to announce what next week's feature film was?
Well, it was your pick, Fulton, so you go right ahead.
I don't know. I think there was something you wanted to talk about.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the well, so our next pick is actually going to be the 2013 Don Scardino directed film, The Incredible Burt Wonderstone,
Mm-hmm.
starring Steve Carell, Steve Buscemi, Jim Carrey, and James Gandolfini and Olivia Wilde.
What? James Gandolfini's in that?
Yeah,
I do
well,
not remember him in that. Was that his last role?
one no, what it was one of his last roles, but no, he was in a few other things after that. No, we're just kidding. I just thought it was something that I brought up to Fulton after last week's episode, and I thought it'd be really funny if I just randomly brought up a comedy that like everyone forgot about. but, but no,
Well, be
actually, Fulton, you can tell us what next week's movie actually
um.
is.
Well, I think I may have talked about it over the past couple podcasts, but I've been getting back into X Files, or maybe I didn't. I don't know, but I've been getting back into the X Files, so I kind of wanted to take a look at another alien abduction movie, and I've heard about this one here and there, but I don't really know anything anything about it. But we're going to be doing 1993's. Was it 1993? I think. Fire in the Sky. So I'm pretty excited to check that one out. I don't know
Directed
anything.
by Rob Lieberman, who also directed The Mighty Ducks 3. Why did you laugh?
That's not the. I know nothing about the Mighty Ducks, but I think I've heard that one isn't great. But I don't know.
That's the one where the Mighty Ducks they solved the drug war.
That classic Mighty Ducks arc. Well, on that note,
all right.
Stay safe, everybody.
Yeah, stay safe, guys, and stay wavy.
There we go.
Yeah, see you guys next week.
All right. Bye.